Yeah. Yeah, appreciate y'all being here to cover our program. Always grateful for what y'all do to help highlight our guys' stories, successes and failures. And really hurt for our guys. You know, got to look in the mirror. Everybody does in our program. Starts with me. I didn't prepare our guys good enough to play the game the right way. Didn't coach good enough for our guys to win. You know, had our opportunities. Had plenty of opportunities. You know, hats off to JMU for playing a good, clean football game. They did a nice job. We also earned the loss. We didn't do what it takes to put ourselves in position to win that kind of game. You know, really coming into the game, emphasized three things that I thought were keys to winning. I thought the turnover margin, protecting the ball, and I looked back and studied how JMU won or lost in the last couple of years, protecting the ball and getting the ball off of them, which I don't think we fared well there. I really emphasized the second thing was the line of scrimmage and the physicality that we needed to play with, and I don't think we played well enough there. And then I emphasized the third thing was the big play battle, just explosive plays. And I think we probably won some of those, but didn't finish the drives at times that we needed to. You know, including that last one there at the end of the game. So nobody's going to feel sorry for us. My heart, like I said, my heart breaks for the young men in that locker room. I love them, care about them like their family, because they are. We do life together, and I'd like to apologize to our fans. I know that's tough on them to watch, and I'm grateful for our fan base. In our student section, I'm extremely grateful for our fan base, and I ask them, bear with us. It's not where we want to be right now. I'm not going to make excuses, but I do ask for them to stay behind our guys, because they're putting in the work. They feel the hurt. You want to criticize somebody, criticize me. I'm a big boy. I can take it. I reminded the guys in the locker room, and I'll remind them all this week, last year's team started 1-2 as well. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and make any promises that we're going to go do what last year's team did, because I don't know that we are that. But I do know I'm going to work like hell to make sure we give ourselves the best chance to be successful moving forward. So with that, open up to questions. Yeah.
Coach Nick Brooks with WTVY down in Dothan. Just, the defense I felt like played really well. Just watching them, it reminded me of last year's team a lot in ways. Just kind of assess their game and how you feel they improved from last week to this week.
Yeah, I'm not saying we played good defense last week, but we held Kansas State to under 400 yards for the first time in like 8 or 9 games. All right, and really last week's defensively, if we can get out of the half, like give them that touchdown to make it 21-10. I thought we played pretty good in the second quarter, and in the third quarter I thought we played daggum real good football until the helmet came off on the one that on Buddha on the penalty. So I thought there was flashes last week, right? I thought there were flashes in week 1 because you look at week 1 we gave up 30 points, but one of them was a fumble recovery that the other team took back. One of them was a touchdown versus all true freshmen basically on the field. So the ones in that game probably gave up 16 points at most, and really some of those were on short field. So I've seen flashes from the defense. I think tonight was the first time where you felt maybe more of a total effort of playing that way. The frustrating thing is we still were not as detailed as we need to be. I can think of like 8 plays off the top of my head, and I'm not going to name names or plays, but I can think of 8 of them easy, real fast, where we did not execute. Just if I'm supposed to run a track off the tackle's hip and go tackle the dive because somebody else has the quarterback, we stayed outside of a block instead of going flat down the line. Or if I'm a post player in a closed middle defense, knowing when to attach myself to something in coverage or not. And so while the score shows improved defense, golly, I can think of a bunch of things where we still have a lot better to get, And so pleased with the growth there. That's a good football team that runs the ball really well, and they ran the ball 39 times for 90 yards. I mean, they run for 200 yards a game, like the last couple of years, that's what they've done every game, just run for 200. So that part is a positive, but we have got to improve a lot to get to where we want to go. Third, we were both 3 for 60 on third down, which stands out to me. We both had 65 plays, which stands out to me. Yeah.
Mr. Jamal, this might sound like a weird question, but did it sort of feel like JMU maybe slowed down your momentum when they called that timeout as you guys were driving on that last drive?
Yeah, I think that was well timed by them. I mean, you got to hats off to Coach Ignetti. He's a fantastic football coach, and I think he sensed the game was on the line there, you know, and recognized maybe how to stop the flow of the game. And I thought it was a well timed timeout. I thought they used it well, and I really felt like we didn't get back in rhythm, if you will, maybe after that, and they maybe changed a couple of things up they were doing. I think it was a combination of both. You know, I don't know that we played well enough in the line of scrimmage to really run the ball right at them. You know, Kamani is one of our best players, so we got to make sure we find ways to get him his touches. But at the line of scrimmage, they were really good. Going into the game, they statistically were leading the country in yards per carry allowed. So they were the best in the country coming into the game. I think they're leaving the game probably still the best in the country. We didn't do anything to change that on our end. So we did feel coming into the game plan, we had a chance to push the ball down the field if we could hold up in protection. We felt like there were some things there for the taking down the field, and so, you know, we had 332 yards passing on 46 attempts, and I think we probably missed some. And I think we probably gave up a sack or two that there would have been, that we had somebody pretty close to being wide open, and so it did dictate the game plan a little bit. Yes, I did tell our offensive staff, let's air it out a little bit more than maybe run it right at them, because I felt like that gave us the best chance to win. Each team's different, each game's different, and you know, next week it may be 50 carries. Who knows? We'll see. I hadn't watched the next opponent yet.
And, starting out 1-2 last year, now starting out 1-2 this year, kind of talk about maybe similarities of how you felt and what you saw from your team this year and last year, with kind of almost like a deja vu start for you guys this year.
Yeah, you know, Nick, that's a good question. Like, I look back, our Power 5 game last year, I think some people were pleased with losing 28-10, and I was pissed off about it. I was pissed off last week about losing versus our Power 5 game. FCS game last year was Alabama A&M, and I think we were maybe down 7-3 at halftime, or 7-0, and we played a little bit cleaner in that game this year versus Stephen F. Austin. At least offensively, we were more productive. Opening game in conference play last year was a heartbreaker. This would define as a heartbreaker. You know, I'm heartbroken for those kids. I think there's a lot of kids that are hurting in the locker room tonight. And, you know, I don't know that this team has the experience or the maturity, to be candid with you, as last year's team. Last year's team had been burned a lot and been, I think, hardened and calloused because of losing some close games. I do think that everybody in our organization has to look themselves in the mirror and identify what can they do better to make sure that they're giving themselves every opportunity to be successful in anything they're doing. And it starts with me. I mean, I'm culprit number one. I gotta go back to the drawing board and figure out, how do I coach the coaches better? How do I coach the team better? How do I coach all phases of the game and everything we're doing better? And I can promise you this: we're not ain't no quitters around here. Like, I ain't quitting. I ain't backing down, and I ain't scared. We're going to get back to work, pick ourselves up. We're going to keep showing up. We talked about that today. No matter what happens, keep showing up, and we'll do that. There are some similarities. There are some differences. You know, I think we're positionally we're less experienced in some spots that are critical that we got to grow up fast in.
Hey, Coach Charlie White, WDHN. Renfro missed the 49-yarder earlier in the second half, and it seemed like, I think, before the intentional grounding got called, you were sending him back out there for the chance for the game winner there. Talk about that trust that you have in him.
Say it again, talk about what?
The trust that you have in him.
Yeah, I've seen ST inside of 50 make a bunch of kicks. If we ever had to kick a really long one, I think Zach Long maybe hits the bombs. But Zach was limited a little bit there in training camp, and ST won the job with his performance. Just because a guy maybe doesn't perform one time, you don't quit on him. Now, if it was for a lack of preparation and he hadn't shown it, yeah, you move on maybe, or give another guy a shot. But ST's worked extremely hard. That kick wasn't the only thing we could have done better. I mean, it didn't. That kick could it have won us the game? Sure. Did it lose us the game? No. There's like 100 plays, 100 little things in that game that if we just change a couple of them, that we win the game. And so there's a lot of things to look at. I know ST's hurt. He's heartbroken, just like I said, a lot of the guys in the locker room are. I saw him before I came in here. He's as hard on himself as anybody. I mentioned this, I think, before the season. I think he's one of the most improved players on our team. He is. When I got here, he had a long way to go, and he's come a long way, and he's really invested in his craft and prepared the right way. So, but yeah, I was going to send him back out there because that was the right thing to do because he's earned that opportunity. Yeah, you know what? It's hard from my vantage point too. I got asked that question in the hallway. I would say more than 4 or 5 feet, but less than 8 or 10, somewhere in that range would be my guess. I could tell it was a little left when it came off. On the headset, somebody said it's good, and I was like, nah, I don't think it is. Yeah, it had the distance. Yeah, it was good. It was plenty long. I think it probably had about 8 yards to spare, but it was just a little left. I couldn't tell. Sideline vantage point's not always the best. I can tell where the ball goes in or out, and I could tell off the foot it looked a little. I would have guessed 6 to 8 feet. Yeah, I've been doing this a little while, looking at those kind of things. Yeah. Hey, and one last thing I do want to acknowledge. A couple weeks ago, I had to bring this up. I wore the Troy Fire Rescue hat this week, the Troy Police hat. Grateful for all our people of service locally. Man, we got. I have a great thrill in just getting to know those people here around town, and we've got tremendous people who serve our community. And I want to acknowledge just how grateful I am for our fire rescue people. I wore that hat week 1. Our police department here in town, first responders. Man, I'm so grateful to live in a community like Troy, and I can promise you we're going to fight back. So thank y'all. Appreciate you.